Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you another Sims 3 tutorial. So this is actually going to be sort of like a precursor to another video that I'm making, where I'm going to show you how I play a landlord challenge in The Sims 3. But I'm having a bit of trouble making that video, and so I already built this giant apartment building for that video. And while I'm working out the kinks in my challenge and figuring out how I want to fix the problems that I'm having, I figured I would make a new version of my apartments tutorial that I made a long time ago with some updated information and just make a better video than what it was before. So this lot here is going to be linked or in my Discord. So if you want to download this apartment, you can join my Discord and it will be in the build server that I have where I post my builds. So this is just a massive apartment building that I built that I intended to have 10 units for, and these units are already set up for the landlord challenge that I'll be making a video on in the future. So there's 3 studio units already furnished, and then the rest are empty. These empty ones here are what I intended to be units that you would build in the future. So you could totally fill this out, or you could put the units anywhere. These blacked out rooms are basically blacked out rooms that are never going to get used in my game. I just did that to make the building look bigger, but I didn't want to have all these rooms fully furnished and stuff because that would really tank your performance. So the first step is to build your apartment building, or download mine if you want to use mine. You could do townhouses, you could do a trailer park, you could do a tiny home community, any sort of like rental property that you want to do, you can do. You just have to make sure you have individualized and separated units. So like here, all the units are separated. So in order for this to work, you are going to need a mod. You're going to need several mods. And so the first mod that you're going to need is NROS Master Controller. Technically, you don't need this mod, but it's highly recommended because you can use it to allow yourself to have more than 8 Sims on one lot. And if you're going to have like a 10-unit apartment building like this, you have to have more than 8 Sims on the lot. Even if you had 8 units, like what, you're just gonna have one person live in each unit? Like, you could do that, but personally I want to be able to have families and stuff live in apartments and everything like that, so I like to use NROS Master Controller, and I will show you how you can enable more than 8 Sims once we get to the setup portion. The second mod you're gonna need is Annie's, I don't know, but it's on the NROS website, and I'll link it below. Obviously, all this will be linked below. The apartment mod, and this is a fantastic mod that will be the way that you're able to run apartments. So it's 100% necessary. You cannot do this without the apartment mod because it's just necessary. The next mod that you will need is called NROS Go Here. The reason that you're going to want this mod is it actually stops Sims from trying to go to interact with objects that are behind locked doors. So when you have all these Sims moved in, you're going to set the door locks so that only the Sims that live in that apartment can enter. And if you do not have this mod, the Sims will constantly try to sleep in each other's beds and just like have a routing failure and complain that they can't get through the door. So it's definitely necessary. And then the final mod is a fix for roommates. So in this mod, the apartment mod, it'll actually turn all the Sims you're not playing into roommates. And that's only temporary because you can switch between them. But it'll turn them all into roommates. And in EA's default roommates, there's a weird glitch. It's not even a glitch, it's an intended feature. It just is stupid, where the roommates will randomly queue up an action called go to yard, where they just walk out into the yard and stand in the yard. So if you ever had roommates in The Sims 3 and you see them just walking and standing in the yard, that's why that's happening, and there is a mod for that to be fixed, and that's going to be linked as well. So once you have all those mods installed and you've built your apartment, you're going to go to buy mode, and you're going to go to electronics and then miscellaneous electronics, and you're going to find the apartment controller. You have to put this on the lot in order to have the apartment function the way that it's supposed to, and you'll just plop that anywhere. I put mine right here, so if you download this lot, this is going to be right here. And if you download this lot and then this isn't here, make sure you actually have the apartment mod installed, because it's not going to come with this if you don't have the package files that this comes with, you know what I mean? So you need to have that. Make sure you have all the mods installed before you download my lot. So keep in mind, if you're building your own, you don't want to go too crazy with the units. I did 10, and I think that's probably the highest amount you should do, and that might even be pushing it for a lot of you. So if you download this and you don't have a very good computer and you just want to have some apartments, maybe just stick to the 3 that I already built, and then maybe do like 1 more if you really want to have like 4 units, and then black out the rest of these to save on performance, because this will get laggy if you do not have a good computer. Another way to sort of offset some of the lag is to put your apartment building in an area where there's not a lot of lots around. Like, there's only the 3 lots up here. I put this in Sunset Valley, like up on the top by the land grabs. And I did that because when you're moving your camera around, and I'll show you, when you're moving your camera around and lots are out of your view, or just like far enough away that they get out of your view and they don't load, and then you move back in and they have to load in, as you can see, that just loaded in, the detail popped in, it causes lag. So if you have lots surrounding your apartment building, like all around, and you're moving the camera a lot, you're going to have constant lag because stuff is loading out and then loading back in and loading out and then loading back in. So I highly recommend, especially since this is already going to be a stressful lot for most computers, to put this in a more secluded area where you're not going to have a lots loading in and loading out, loading in and loading out. That's also just a good tip for if you're finding that you struggle to play The Sims 3 because of like lag with moving the camera. Maybe have a very sparsely populated world, like with less lots, like in The Sims 2. You know how the lots are kind of like all spread out pretty far in some of the worlds. It looks a little less aesthetically pleasing, but it will definitely help with performance. So the last thing to consider is amenities. If you really want to have like a realistic rental property, I think including amenities like a pool or a dog park are a really good idea. You could also do like a community garden, a laundry area. I don't have laundry in my apartments because I don't want to deal with it, but if you wanted to do laundry, you could definitely have like a public laundry area. You could do like a clubhouse where Sims can go and play games and just hang out and maybe get coffee and stuff like that. Just things like that, amenities that you would see in a real apartment building or like any rental property, really. But yeah, once you've done all that and you are good with everything. And another thing to note, by the way, I just want to make one more clarification. You don't have to have these all furnished before you move your Sims in. I just do because I know a lot of people don't want to have to decorate. So you could definitely delete all the furniture in these if you want to, and then move the Sims in and then furnish them depending on the Sim. One thing that I find that really helps, though, if you want it to be a little more realistic, is to use the same counters and appliances and stuff in all the apartments, because that's usually how that works on rental properties. If you don't want it to be realistic at all and you just want to go crazy, you can totally do that as well. I'm a little more, I guess I'm a stickler for realism. Okay, but once you have all the mods done, you've built your property, you're happy with it, what it looks like, or you downloaded mine and renovated it, whatever you want to do, it is time to move in at least one Sim. So I'm going to start and just move in one Sim. You're going to use testing cheats. Enabled. True. Because this is obviously not going to be a cheap property, so I'm going to do free real estate before I pick a Sim. And we're just going to move in any random Sim. We'll move this bitch in. And we're just going to have her move in. And I have not even set up my game yet, so I'm going to go ahead and choose household. And I'm just going to start the game because I haven't even done that yet. So I got my Sim. She's all moved in. She's ready to go. So before I even claim an apartment or do anything like that, the first thing I want to show you is that if you click on the ground and you have NROS Master Controller, which I highly recommend that you download this so that you can have more than 8 Sims on the property. You go to NROS Master Controller, and then you're going to go to Settings. And right under Settings, it's going to say Allow more than 8 Sims per house. You want this to say True. And as long as you have that set up, you should be able to add as many Sims to this lot as you want. So before I even assign apartments, assign apartments to the Sims, I'm gonna move in the other 2 families that'll be living in these other 2 apartments. Okay, and so when you want to move new other families in, like if you have new tenants that you want to move in, all you have to do is literally merge the household. So it's technically gonna be one giant household, but it will be separated. So I'm just gonna throw him in because I have a place ready for the dog, and we will throw in, I need to find one more. We'll throw this couple in as well. Alright, so once you've set your game so you can have more than 8 Sims, which I don't have more than 8 Sims right now, but that's because I only have the 3 units. If you were filling out the rest of the units and wanted to move Sims in, you're obviously gonna need more than 8 Sims. But once you have everyone in and you decided what apartments you want them to have, you are ready to separate the families. So how I do this, how you have to do this, is you go to the apartment controller, which I'm going to put my walls up so you can see it a little bit better, which I placed here, which I showed you was in buy mode under electronics miscellaneous, and you're going to go to family, and then you're going to go to create family. So I highly recommend before you even do this, you decide how much you want each Sim to have. So we have 51,750 simoleons between all these Sims, and you could split that evenly, or you could ignore that entirely and just give them a smaller amount. Like if you want your Sim to start out with 500 simoleons, you can do that. So I'm going to create the Craft family first, which is the Sim I have here. She's going to be living by herself. So Craft, and I'll just give her 500 simoleons. And then her rent can be 500 simoleons as well. And the rent is going to be every Monday, so it'll be once a week. So don't go crazy with it and be like $1,500 a month, because that's going to be every week, not every month. Unless you have rich Sims, they're not going to be able to afford that. And then you could choose which Sim you want to have in that household. So I'm going to put her, and she's going to be living by herself. I think I'm going to give her this apartment here. And then I'm going to create my next family, and that's going to be the Hendrix family, which is going to be the man and his dog. And I'm just going to give them 500 simoleons as well. I'll just keep it really basic and give them all the same and give them the same rent as well. So Landon and Bingo. Boom. And then we're going to do one more, and we'll call it the Bolden family. Another 500 simoleons, and then 500 for rent. And you could put whatever amount you want, as long as it doesn't go over this, because it does come from these funds. As you can see, it's removing the funds. So you have to have the funds here. If you really wanted to, you could just give yourself like a gajillion dollars so that you don't have to worry about it whenever you're moving Sims in. So we have these two here, and we've separated our families. So now I'm going to just lock the doors. So if you have NROS Master Controller, I highly recommend you get the integration module as well, because it allows you to lock everybody in the entire town out if you really want to, and they'll show up under this list. But so I'm going to lock everybody. I'm going to specify Sims for this door. It's just either lock everybody and then go in and pick the Sim that you want to be able to go in there. So I'm looking for Norma. I believe I'm looking for Norma. Yes. So this is going to be her apartment. So she's the only one that can access this apartment now. And like I said, if you don't have the Go Here mod, these Sims will try to get in here and they'll just get stuck at the door and complain. But since I have the Go Here mod installed, they're not going to try to route into an area that they can't possibly get to. Okay. This is going to be Landon's apartment here for him and his dog. So I'm going to lock everybody. And then I'm going to specify the Sims for the door. And okay. So now this is their apartment. Everything's set up for that. And then we're just going to do the Bolden couple. I don't even know if they're actually a couple, but they are now. So I'm going to lock everybody, and then I'm going to specify Sims for door. Okay, and I'm going to throw them both in there, and now they can open that door. And pretty much after that, you've done all the setup. Now all you have to do is go back to this apartment controller, click family, set active family, and you can pick any of your families. So if you wanted to play as the Craft family, you're now playing as her, and you don't have control over the other Sims. They're going to go about their business, and as you can see, they are showing up as roommates now. So these Sims will still go to work. They'll still do their own thing. The only downside to this is if you're playing rotationally in a way where you want Sims to still be earning money when you're not playing as a certain family, they will not earn money for going to work. They will only have 500 simoleons, period, until you play as them again. And if you're not actively playing as them, when they get home from work, that money doesn't go into their bank account, which can be kind of the downside to this mod. But if you're playing Sims 2 style rotationally, where you don't want them to be earning money and you don't want them to be progressing in their careers and stuff, this mod works really well with that, because Sims 2 style, the other Sims in the apartments didn't earn money either until you played as them. Yeah, but once you've done that and you have everything set up correctly, you can easily switch between families whenever you want to. So let's say I want to play as the Bolden family. I can totally do that. Now, the final thing to note is if you're playing rotationally and you have it set up so that inactive Sims do not age, and you want to set that up for an apartment as well, there is ways to do that, although it is a little bit more complicated. So this part of the video is optional. You do not need to do this. If you're okay with these Sims aging at the same time as your Sim, or, you know, at the same rate as your Sim that you're playing, that's fine. But if you don't want your neighbors to age unless you're playing them actively, then there is ways to handle that. So what you'll do is download NROS story progression, which is going to be linked below. So in short, what you would do if you don't want your Sims to be aging, and I'm not going to go over all the ins and outs of story progression, but you'll go to the city hall and you'll enable progression, which mine's already turned on. And then what you can go and do is go to cast options and add new cast, and I'm just going to put this as apartment neighbors. Okay, so we have apartment neighbors, and if you click on that, there's this option here that says stasis. If you put your Sim in stasis, they will no longer age. And once you've set stasis to be true and everything, and you want to add Sims to the cast, you'll go to story progression, you'll go to Sim options, and then you are going to go to cast manual. You're going to click that, and you're going to add apartment neighbors. All right, and once you've added that cast, and you switch to a different family and then switch right back to this one, you will see when you put your hand over his age bar, it says aging up never. And so you're going to do the same thing for all your neighbors. So I'm going to click on her. I'm going to go to NROS. I'm going to go to story progression. I'm going to go to sim options. I'm going to go to cast manual. And I'm going to do apartment neighbors. And putting them in stasis will also prevent them from experiencing any of the other stories that come with story progression. And if you disable EA story progression as well, then they shouldn't have any random pregnancies or anything crazy going on. The only progression that they will have is progression that you see on screen. So like if she was getting in a fight with a neighbor in the yard and you witnessed that, when you play as her, their relationship is going to reflect that. So those will still change. So once they're both added in, sometimes you have to switch and then check the bar again. And sometimes you have to switch families. But they're both added into that cast now, which means they are no longer going to age. And let's say I'm playing as Norma. So I'm going to add Landon too, because obviously he's also a neighbor. We're going to go to sim options. We're going to go to cast manual, apartment neighbors. We're going to click that. And now he is. And then let me find that dog. All right, so we're going to add Bingo as well. I had to switch because it wasn't letting me click on him with the other sim because it's not her dog, I guess, or something. I don't know. It was weird. And we're going to put you in apartment neighbors as well, Bingo. And you will no longer age. So as you can see, he's in apartment neighbors. Days till aging up. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to update. Like, it's not... There we go. Now it's saying days till aging up never. Sometimes it takes a minute to update, but it does work. They will no longer age. And so basically what you can do then, if I'm playing as Norma, and let's say I'm doing this rotationally and I'm playing them for a week at a time, and I'm playing with her for a week, and I've just finished playing with her, so I want her to stop aging, I will just jump right in here. I will go to sim options. I will go to cast manual, and I will go to apartment neighbors, and I will add that cast to her. And then whoever I'm switching to, let's say I'm switching to Landon, right? I'm going to switch to Landon and the dog. I'm going to quickly go into here. I'm going to go into cast manual again, and I'm going to turn off apartment neighbors. So you can just turn that on and off now, depending on which character you're switching to. And I can do that for the dog as well. And now my sim is in the apartment neighbors thing, so when I switch, she will no longer be aging. And when I switch to Landon in the other dog, because I took them out of the cast, they will age. Like I said, the age bar will take a minute to update and tell you, like, see, now he has days still aging up 19. So if you wanted to do like a Sims 2 style rotational game where you don't want the Sims that you're not playing to age, and you found that apartments don't work with that because technically they're all on one lot together, so they're going to age even if your settings are inactive Sims shouldn't age. This is a way around that I've found. It's a little bit tedious at first to add them all to the cast, but then whenever it comes to just switching, it's as easy as just taking it off and then putting it back on. So it's really not that difficult once you get everybody added to it. It's just taking it off and putting it back on whenever you switch. So that's how I do that. And that also keeps them from getting all the other progression stuff. Like, they're not going to get pregnant on their own. They're not going to get... I mean, you can definitely... they can still technically get pregnant if you have autonomous woohoo and try for baby. So that is the one... I'm not sure, actually. If stasis stops the pregnancy progression, if their pregnancy will keep moving forward if they're in stasis. That's one thing I'm not too sure about. You'll have to try that out yourself. I know that they can get pregnant when they're in stasis, because they're on the lot. Like, even though this sim or Norma Craft is in stasis, if I had them woohoo right now, she could get pregnant. I don't know if the pregnancy will progress though, so that is something to try out yourself to see. But for the most part, it works exactly the way that Sims 2 would work at this point. The other thing is, if you have unemployed Sims like this one, and you don't want them to get thrown into a random career, they actually probably won't, since they're on this household. But you can also, I believe it is with the story progression mod, it's with one of the NROS mods, you can register as retired if you really want to, and that just fills up this spot so that EA's stupid little system that they have in The Sims 3 doesn't randomly throw them into like the fucking science career for no reason. So those are just some things that I do to have rotational gameplay work for apartments as well, to bring it even closer to Sims 2 style, because now, you know, all of my neighbors are not aging or progressing, and when I want to switch to them, I can do that. And it also works if you want to just play like an apartment in Sunset Valley and play as all the Sims that live in the apartment and not play as the other Sims in town, but you don't want these Sims to age or something like that. It works well for that as well. I know that was a lot of explaining, but yeah, there's just a lot to apartments in The Sims 3 that I don't think a lot of people have tried. I barely see any really in-depth videos about apartments in The Sims 3, and I don't know why, because I think it's actually pretty awesome when you work out all the kinks and everything. Like, this is pretty darn similar to The Sims 2 in my opinion. But yeah, guys, like I said, all the mods are going to be linked below. If you follow the steps that I showed you on screen, everything should work fine. I'm also going to link this build in my Discord, so if you want to join my Discord, the link will be in the description below as well, and then the link to my build will be on that server. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There's another video that'll be coming in the near future about a landlord challenge that I'm doing with this build as well, but it's taking me a little while to iron out all the kinks on that. But yeah, stay tuned for that, And if you have any other ideas for things that you would like to see in The Sims 3 that you would find interesting, just let me know and I will work on it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.